I hate the assumption that people seem to have that if an artist or creative does something a little bit weird, that they have to be on drugs. You might be wondering where this thought process came from. I'll tell you, because that's what this whole video is about. The other day, Friday, Zay Frank posted this video that I'll link here. Click on my hand, it compels you. About doing a surgery on a teddy bear that had all types of organs that were too big to fit in this little bear body. And the problems that were going on with this teddy bear. One of the first comments that I happened to see, upset it wasn't thumbed up or anything. What drugs were you on when you made this? I find that to be one of the most insulting things you can say to a creative person. That something that they created that was a little off kilter, that was just left of center. I hate that assumption that just because somebody creates something that's a little bit weird, that they can't be sober. I've never had super weird thoughts that ended up in a creative piece because I was on drugs. It's incredibly rude, and it takes away from the creative talent and the inherent differences that all people have. That because somebody thought of something a little bit weird, that they had to have been stoned or high or on an acid trip or whatever drug you think induced a weird thought process. It takes away the humanity of creating, and it takes away the fact that everyone sees things different. I'm sure 100 or 200 years ago, I'm sure that before synesthesia was understood, people thought these other people were tripping balls because they heard color and they tasted sound or they tasted color. And it's not that they were high or anything, it's just that literally their brains just processed information differently, and it's how they understood. I remember hearing a story, there's a composer, and I don't remember where I heard this anecdote or who this was, who was a synesthetic, and he would tell people to play more blue, and people didn't understand him, and it's literally just how his brain worked. So in my mind, it's incredibly insulting to deduce all of the variety and creativity and all of the variety in human nature and the things that make each and every one of us special and keeps us from being normal and makes every single one of us weird. It's so insulting in my mind to reduce the things that make you you and the things that make me me, to deduce it to the fact that you have to be on some type of mind-altering chemical. Have there been artists who created on mind-altering chemicals? Yes. There have been plenty of people who have created on mind-altering chemicals, but that doesn't mean what they created was good, it just means it was weird, and they probably would have done it sober anyway. Like, it's not so much that chemicals, really gave you new thoughts. They just make you freer to the thoughts that you already have. Which is, that's why it seems that's why I'm thinking of it. But deducing somebody's creative output to chemical interaction, chemical disruption, is unfair. I love the surrealists. I've mentioned this in the past. Dali has a quote that, or at least this has been attributed to Dali, where he said, "I'm not on drugs, I am drugs." And that literally just means all of the things that you perceive to be weird and abnormal about the things that I create are me. He doesn't need to do anything, and he didn't do anything that would change his perception of the world when he would create. The act of creating is sharing with the world how you perceive things, or the things that are a little bit off that you do to make things fun. I believe earlier I said that what drugs were you on is one of the most insulting things you can say to a creative. I believe one of the others, and I think Will Wheaton might have said this a few years ago, the other thing that is incredibly insulting to say to somebody is, you must have had a lot of time on your hands. Hi. That's a bit better. Telling somebody who's creative, who did something incredibly intricate and time-consuming, that they have too much time on their hands is also incredibly insulting. If it's somebody's job, they don't have too much time on their hands. They probably didn't have enough time to create whatever they're working on. Creating something intricate isn't about wasting time or having more important things to do. It's about devoting all the time you can to something that you're passionate about. Devaluing somebody's creative efforts to the fact that they had too much time on their hands is bullshit. You're just mad because you can't create something like that. You're mad because somebody else took their time and took effort and knowledge and education and skill and talent to do something amazing. And then take them down a peg, to knock them down a peg. You're going to say they had too much time on their hands. That is fucking revolting. It's just so infuriating to see how little respect that creatives get, whether it's writing or painting or sculpture, or it's not about time and it's not about drugs. It's about playing with perception and sharing the world with other people. I'll see you tomorrow. Ciao.